Jesus and his disciples were traveling through the land of Galilee when they were invited to a wedding in the small town of Cana. Weddings in those days were joyful events that lasted several days. Families prepared carefully, providing food and wine for all their guests, because hospitality was very important in their culture. Mary, the mother of Jesus, was also at the wedding. She noticed that everything was beautiful: the music, the laughter, the dancing, and the long tables filled with food. Guests came from nearby towns, greeting one another with smiles and warm words. But as the celebration continued, a serious problem arose. Quietly, the servants whispered among themselves. The jars of wine were becoming empty. Soon, there would be none left to serve. If the guests found out, the bride and groom would be deeply ashamed. Their special day would be remembered not for joy, but for embarrassment. Mary became aware of the situation. She saw the worried faces of the servants and understood what was happening. Calmly, she walked to Jesus. "They have no more wine," she said gently. Jesus looked at her. Though his time to fully reveal his power had not yet come, he understood her concern. Mary trusted her son completely. Without arguing, she turned to the servants and said, "Do whatever he tells you." Nearby stood 6 large stone jars. They were usually used for washing hands and feet before meals. Each jar could hold many gallons of water. Jesus called the servants. "Fill the jars with water," he told them. The servants obeyed, walking back and forth from the well, pouring water into the jars again and again until they were filled to the very top. Their arms were tired, but they did not stop until every jar was full. Then Jesus said something surprising. "Now draw some out and take it to the master of the banquet." The servants hesitated. They knew the jars contained only water. What would happen if the master tasted it? But they remembered Mary's words and chose to trust Jesus. One servant dipped a cup into the jar and carried it carefully to the man in charge of the feast. The master lifted the cup to his lips and drank. His eyes widened. "This is wonderful wine," he exclaimed. He quickly called the bridegroom over. "Most people serve the best wine first," he said, "and bring out the cheaper wine later. But you have saved the best for last." The bridegroom was confused. He did not know where the wine had come from, but the servants did. They looked at the jars, then at Jesus, their hearts filled with awe. The water had become wine, rich, pure, and better than any served before. The celebration continued with even greater joy. Music played louder, laughter filled the air, and the guests praised the generosity of the family. But something far greater had happened than anyone realized. This miracle became the first public sign of Jesus' divine power. His disciples, who had been following him, saw what he did and believed in him more deeply than ever before. And quietly, without seeking praise, Jesus had turned a moment of shame into a moment of joy, showing compassion, kindness, and the power of God.